Have you ever asked these questions to yourself or your teams responsible for your Atlassian instances? Maybe you can test locally, but worry about how a change scales in production. Committing to maintain and execute test automation is resource and time consuming. Have you had this challenge? Hi, my name is Eric Martin and I manage the global Rakuten instances in Tokyo, Japan. I have been managing Atlassian server, data center, and cloud products for 15 years. From 10 to 30,000 users, I have seen all types of configurations and environments. We will show you how to use Atlassian's App Performance Toolkit to measure and visualize the impact of applying changes in your environment. Let me give you a little background on Rakuten's products and configurations. We have many on-premise instances, and our Confluence is one of the largest in the world. Our challenge was, how do we assess changes in configurations, addition of plugins, and software upgrades without just implementing the change in production and see what happens? So what is the best way to test configuration changes? Today, we will establish a common understanding of performance testing, show you what Atlassian APT is, how you can use it for performance testing, and finally, what else you can extend APT for. Here is the Wikipedia definition of what performance testing is. If you look this up, you will find that this is an enormous topic. Let's focus on one type of performance testing, configuration. This type of testing determines the effects of configuration changes to the system's performance and behavior. So what should you expect from setting up APT, and how will it help you understand scale and performance impact? Establishing a baseline helps you understand your current environment's performance metrics. Making changes and running APT and comparing against baseline will provide a delta, if any. Metric output data is great, but charts convey changes much better than CSV files. Now that we have set the understanding of performance testing and our expectations, let's review what Atlassian's APT suite is and how it can help you. Atlassian used to have an automated test suite a while ago, but it's no longer maintained. This is a different toolkit. Atlassian provides plugin developers a toolkit to generate test data used to certify their plugins for data center compatibility. We thought this could be also applied to testing changes in an instance's configuration. Much as a doctor could use a medicine for off-label prescription, we could use APT to test our instance for performance and scale. The screenshot of the left is of the marketplace developer documentation if you'd like to read about the details. Taurus is an open source test framework that executes over 20 different types of test executors. For APT, we are primarily focused on Jmeter and Selenium tests. You can learn more about Taurus at gettaurus.org. The source code for APT is available on GitHub. Here's a screenshot of the repository for reference. This repository contains Jira, Confluence, and Bitbucket APT source for testing data center performance. We will show you how to use it for off-label to prevent heart attacks. Now that you know what APT is, let's discuss how you can use APT for your instance performance and scaling testing. We can use this plugin certification test tool for our performance and test scaling purposes. APT can be scaled up or down to simulate the size of your instance. The data center performance test requirements have host and node configuration specifications, but you can use these variables to adjust it to your needs. It is highly recommended to use similar configured staging environments with a copy of your production data. Now let's take a look at how the flow of APT would actually be used. We forked the official repository, customized it for our environment, and used Jenkins to execute tests against our staged instance. We use our staging instances and copies of production data for testing to reproduce production as closely as possible. Let me show you how you can visualize the results from our APT tests. Performance profile chart created by the Python tool included in the APT package. If you notice, in the chart, there is a with and without baseline and changed bars with color. To the left, you can see the functions that were tested. Now let me show you what the scaling testing output looks like. This chart is a little different from the performance profile. This chart shows us the nodes and their performance data. When we run the performance APT tests, we store the output in a database so we can compare different runs with baseline and milestones. Now that you understand performance testing, APT, and how to generate performance and scaling tests, you might be wondering how APT helped Rakuten. Rakuten used this method to select a Confluence plugin that was best suited for our large environment and requirements. We were able to eliminate options that had a negative performance impact. For the plugin we chose, it helped optimize the configuration for best performance. So far, we have discussed how Atlassian APT can be used for performance and scalability testing. But what other uses can it be extended for? If you don't have an automated test framework for your Atlassian environment, and you are repeating the same manual tests every upgrade, consider using APT as your foundation. With a little bit of effort, you can add your own tests for REST and user interface checks to Taurus, the foundation of Atlassian APT effort. Different test cases or test suites could be driven from a tool such as Jenkins. Hopefully, you have new options for tracking performance and scale in your instances. APT has enabled Rakuten to have a method to quickly assess changes and avoid negatively impacting our production environment. Thank you for your time today. We hope you enjoyed this session and Atlassian Team 2021.